These are very peculiar times, to say the least. And one thing that this gospel reminds us of is the mission that Jesus Christ was given by his Father to accomplish for our sake. The mission, of course, culminates in his passion, death, and resurrection. This is the Paschal mystery. Today, as we enter into Holy Week, we come with palms in hand. We call this day Palm Sunday, of course, reflecting what we hear in the Gospels, that many come out to praise Jesus as he enters into Jerusalem, to give him honor and glory. Many of those who have been following him all along, seeing the miraculous things he's done time and time again. And so he enters into Jerusalem with great pomp and circumstance. But as the story continues, we know that much is yet to be revealed. And so Jesus fulfills the mission that his Father had given him. Brothers and sisters, there are three basic parts that we can break up all of time into. The first great part of the story of time, the creation of time, is everything that happens before Christ enters the world. You see, even time is a creation of God. Similar to the animals, to the birds that we hear chirping, to the sun rising, to the stars in the heavens, to the moon, to the earth. Everything that God has created is simply that, a creation, including time. And so the first great part of time is everything that happens before Christ. And then the second major part of time is everything that we come to learn through the Gospels about Jesus Christ, where Jesus enters into his own creation by being born as one of us, culminating in his passion, death, and resurrection. The third and final part of the creation of time is indeed the eschaton, the end times. And I think it's curious how when we face things that are unclear, when we face world wars, when we face a pandemic, when we face things that seem to be affecting the entirety of mankind, then more and more we begin to hear conversations about, well, this is truly the end. I would propose to you that we have been living in the end times ever since Jesus revealed the finality of his mission in his passion, death, and resurrection. Ever since then, we have been living in the end times. One of the good things that has come of this pandemic, I can assure you, is the effect that it has had on many people. That now, maybe more than ever, we have been met with the reality of the finality of our life. That our life will come to an end. We will not live forever. Yet the soul that God has given us is immortal. The soul does not die. As we heard in the gospel today, that all the holy men and women, the prophets, those who had done and fulfilled the mission before Christ broke onto the scene, they were raised from their graves and entered into the holy city with Christ at his resurrection. I like to conclude, brothers and sisters, in reflecting upon Jesus' time in the garden. There are many significant things about that night before he was betrayed, the night in which he had celebrated with his disciples the most intimate of his friends, the most sacred of meals, instituting the Eucharist, and then going out to pray, in which he was deeply distressed. Jesus knew that this was the end of his mission on earth. When he was in the garden, he felt the weight of all the sins of all humanity from the beginning of time until the end of time. He had a decision to make. And he begged his Father to give him another way. Father, if there's another way for me to fulfill this mission, please let it come. But not my will, but your will be done. Where were Peter, James, and John? They were asleep. Do not don't fall asleep. Be vigilant. God's grace abounds. He's at work still. His mission, although accomplished on earth, continues with us. We continue the mission of Christ in saving souls. How is that? In the way in which we live faithfully to him. Through prayer, fasting, almsgiving. By keeping our eyes fixed on the prize. What is the goal of all of this? Heaven. That's the goal. Remain vigilant. Do not fall asleep. But if you do, be like Peter and beg for mercy.